Okay, here we go. So, hello everyone. Welcome. This is Mariah Miller, and I think many of you are familiar with what I do, but very briefly, I am a human design teacher and practitioner and have been using human design with my clients for many, many years now. I started coaching in the early 2000s, and just a few years after that is when I got involved with human design. And you probably know my story. If not, I'll share it with you some other time because today is about something else. But um, we will talk a little bit about human design, but my normal monthly free calls that I do are all about looking at your charts. I ask you to send in your charts around a specific topic. And as you noticed, that did not happen this time because I think we are in a very different place. And you may agree with me or not. What my goal is for today is to bring us all together and to help us shift some of our energy. So, as you know, the current situation, there we go. As you know, the current situation is very different. We are in a time where there is a lot of unknowns. We have changes that are happening every single day, and sometimes twice, three times, four times a day, we hear of new news that's going on. And what happens is that all of that creates fear. So what is going on in our brain is that our brain is a pattern recognition tool. It looks for things that are familiar because when we know what is familiar, we understand that. We don't have to spend too much time on learning the new, and we can just focus on what else little bit of new is coming in. We can kind of sort through all that. When we are being presented with a situation where all of a sudden so much is new, so much is different, our amygdala gets triggered, which creates a stress response in our body. And that stress response creates shoulders going up to our ears, it creates headaches, it creates adrenaline. Adrenaline is a short-lived hormone. It gets out of your body very quickly in about 90 seconds. But guess what? Cortisol is another hormone that helps sustain that same stress pattern in your body over time. This is something that actually degenerates our way of being. It degenerates our body. So especially if you already have underlying health issues, this time can actually really aggravate those. What we not need in our world is more fear. What we need in our world is for all of us to be more in balance. So from a human design perspective, um, we have this beautiful figure that all of these centers, when we are in alignment with ourselves, all of these centers are operating as they should be. And they're here to support us in our way of being in the world. Well, let me tell you about an experience that I had many years ago, and you may have had the same kind of experience. So many years ago, my youngest daughter came home with lice. She had been in kindergarten, and there was an outbreak going on in her kindergarten school, in her class, and she came home with lice. Okay, so we put everything away, we bagged everything up, we used all kinds of shampoos and disinfectants, and we got the okay from the doctor. She went back to school. Later that next day, I got a call from the school. It was going on again, if I could please bring her back home. This went on 3 times. By the third time, I was about to break down. I was overwhelmed because here are these teeny tiny little creatures that, while visible, are hiding in such a way that they were at that time really difficult to handle. I felt powerless. I felt powerless. So I grabbed my family and we all, I had read this somewhere, we all put mayonnaise on our head. Thick, covered clobs of mayonnaise with a little, plastic head or container over it just to make sure that it wouldn't drip in our eyes. You should have seen us. We were a sight. I have no pictures. And at this point, it seems funny. But at that point, I was at my wit's end. And just the fact that I was able to do something was helpful. And guess what? The mayonnaise helped. We were finally lice free. And so what is happening right now with this situation, here are these tiny little things that we are trying to protect ourselves against. And our whole body gets into the stress response trying to do this. And that's, yes, we do need to do that at a certain, or up to a certain point, right? The other point is that we really need to take care of our own response to being with this. Because as I just mentioned, that cortisol, that prolonged experience of cortisol is not healthy for us. And when we're looking at human design, when that stress happens and we get thrown out of alignment, we get thrown out of alignment everywhere. So let me just show you a little bit about what happens. Our root center, where energy comes in to our human design, this is the center of survival. Here is this energy that comes into our design to help us move through the world, help us get into what needs to happen. Well, since the middle of February, the 60th gate, which is at the top here of the root center, the 60th gate is the gate of limitation. It is also the gate where all human diseases come from. It's a gate of mutation. Mutation happens in a sudden jump, a sudden appearance, but it's also the gate of healing. When we learn to be with this and accept to a point that this is our current way in how we are being, now we can use our resources to move forward. If not, what happens is that this survival center is trying to get us into, what are my limitations? What do I need to be safe? So people are getting their toilet paper and people are getting their water and all these different things. And when we are getting to this place of acceptance, then the healing can take place. Then we can see, okay, well, what is it that I truly need? And how can we take care of each other? How can we support each other? Yeah. Another center that gets very well triggered is our spleen center. Our spleen is our center of health and well-being, and it has a number of fear gates. As you can see here, the 48th gate is the gate of inadequacy. It's not really the gate, it's the gate of the well, it's the gate of knowledge. But the fear underneath is that I never know enough. Yeah. The future, fear of future is being triggered. This is the 57th gate. This is the gate of our intuition. Intuition provides this way of knowing in the now. Well, in the now, there is no future, there is no past, there's only now. But there is a fear of the future. 44th gate taps into this really deep pattern, that instinctual pattern that underlies everything. This is our past. So this activates fear of the past. The 50th gate over here, this is the gate of responsibility. It's actually the gate of values. It's the fear of responsibility, taking on the responsibility for the tribe. How can I, in this situation, take on taking care of the tribe, my family? I shared yesterday in class that my mother, who lives in Europe, in Holland, she's sick. And I yesterday heard that finally her fever is breaking. So during the day, she's mostly fever-free, which I'm really, really grateful about. But she's over there, I'm over here. My brother lives about 2 hours away from her, so can't just quickly go over. But guess what? Her neighbors are making her soup, bringing the little pan, put it outside of her door. And then when they've left, she opens the door and can bring the soup inside and is taken care of by the people around her, as we are taking care of ourselves and our family and the people around us as well. So we can go one way, the fear, or we can go into this, how do we support? How can we manage this? Here, the 30-second gate is the gate of failure. It's actually the gate of duration. It's how can I swing with things? How can I move with things? And the fear of failure comes in when you're not listening to that. Yeah, you're not moving with the times. The 28th gate is the gate of the game player. How do I jump into life? How am I being with life? The underlying fear is the fear of death or the fear of purpose. What is my purpose? I have no purpose. And then the 18th gate, my personal favorite, this is the gate of correction, the gate of what needs to be improved. What can I improve? Which is the empowered side. The fear underneath is authority, people telling you what to do. And here we have the government telling us what to do. The fear is kind of a resistance. I'm not going to do that. The balanced way is, how do we cooperate with this? How do we participate in this? How do we manage this? And I want to just briefly touch also on our solar plexus, because 50% of the population has this emotional center defined. The other 50% do not. So what does that mean? When 50% of the people are overwhelmed with fear and blasting in more fear into the world, the other 50% is matching that and mirroring that and amplifying that. Can you imagine a whole new wave of fear that gets into the world and how uncomfortable that can be for everybody, throwing us off even more? So I saw this quote. This is Dr. Guy Hendricks wrote this book on The Big Leap. And in it, he wrote about this quote from Dr. Fritz Perls. Fear is excitement without the breath. When scared, most of us have a tendency to try to get rid of the feeling. We think we can get rid of it by denying it or ignoring it. And we use our breath as a physical tool of denial. You know, if I can just hold my breath, nothing has to come in. But it never works, because as Dr. Perls has pointed out, the less breath you feed your fear, the bigger your fear gets. So the best advice, he says, is to take big, easy breaths when you feel fear. Feel the fear instead of pretending it's not there. Celebrate it with a big breath, just the way you'd celebrate your birthday by taking a big breath and blowing out the candles on your cake. Do that and your fear turns into excitement. Do it more and your excitement turns into exhilaration. Well, I have to be honest, I haven't quite gotten to that point yet myself, but I've gotten to a much calmer, much more balanced place in myself. Because ultimately, your design holds your truth in this all. Your truth is your authority. Now, in your design, everybody has their own authority. You know, some of you have the emotional authority. Some of you have this intuition. Some of you have an inner sense of knowing or a gut response. You may also have an outer authority, meaning that through connecting with others and talking with others, you hear your own truth. And the thing about truth, there is no energy behind it. Your truth is clear, it is clean, and it's balanced. It's not an emotional high, it's not an emotional low. There's no energy behind it. So we are at a choice point. How do we want to be with this all? How do you want to be? There are two roads. One is to go on the road of fear, and one is to go on the road of love that ultimately leads us to love. And I saw this quote from Dr. David Hawkins. He wrote Power versus Force and The Eye of the I, 2 different books. And he says, in this interconnected universe, every improvement we make in our private worlds improves the world at large for everyone. We all add to the common buoyancy of our efforts to benefit life. Or one individual, just imagine this, one individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of optimism, who's practicing kindness, love, and receptivity, who sees beauty and endless potential of good in others as well as themselves, their energy counterbalances 90,000 people somewhere on this planet who are living in the low energy levels of fear, shame, anger, guilt, despair, etc. Dr. David Hawkins did a lot of kinesiology, spent a lot of research on kinesiology and testing frequencies, and this is what he came with. And this is something for us to keep in mind, like what are we sharing with the field? What are we sending out? How do we want to contribute? How do we want to be with ourselves? So what I'd like to do is guide us all through a brief meditation, just a brief moment to help us activate hope. And hopefully you'll be able to tap into that over and over and over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my video and give you all the chance, stop my video, give you all the chance to go inward as I share this meditation with you. All right. So this is a call for staying strong in our frequencies and bringing in the resonance of hope and compassion and appreciation. And I'd like you all to start with bringing your attention to the center of your chest. And breathe in just a little bit deeper and slower than you normally would. And out. And again, breathe in. Finding that nice and easy breathing pace. Just a little deeper and slower than normally. And continue to breathe in this nice and easy breathing pace. And now place your hand on your heart. And as you do this, feel the warmth from your hand on your body. Feel how that physical warmth spreads itself out through your body. Now bring your attention to your heart. Feel how your heart opens under the touch of your hand. In you, there's a part of you that's always safe. In you, there's a part that's unchanging. In you, there's a part that is still. In you, there is a part that's at peace. This part of you is limitless. It's expansive. This is where hope lives. Connect with that sense of hope. Let it grow in you. Feel how it expands through your body. And feel how it expands outward. And how it expands outward to the people around you. And share this hope. And share with us the gratitude for the people who are taking care of the ones who can't. And extend and connect through that hope, that gratitude, through love. So let this be the part that guides you in how you want to be in this world as we move forward. The deepest part of you doesn't need worry or fear. It exists in care and compassion. It exists in the hope that we share with each other. So be with this one more moment. And then slowly bring your awareness back to this present moment. Back to your environment. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes. Okay. Thank you for joining me with that. That was lovely. I felt you all. Well, does anybody have any comments before we go into a more creative part? And you can chat, you can unmute yourself. Does anybody want to share anything? Okay.
Sheva? Sorry, Mariah, it's Bernice. Hi.
Hi. That's funny.
That's funny. And I don't normally do my heart lock-ins with my hand over my heart. And when you first directed us to do that, I felt a sense of not suffocating, but maybe uncomfortable. And I feel like maybe that's what you were describing earlier about the breath. So maybe it's an indication for me that I'm not breathing as deeply as often as I could. And I can even actually pinpoint some times in my day when I do that. So thank you. It brought a little bit more awareness to that sensation for me. Thank you.
Yes, great awareness, Bernice. Breathing at this point is very important. At any
Oh,
point, but right now it's very important to help kind of balance ourselves. Thank you.
mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
Now that we're talking about breathing, put in the chat box a website. I've been doing Oxysize for probably 10 years, maybe longer. I do it every day now in this crisis, and it's really makes you feel better.
Yes.
And in addition to that, I'm also doing energy exercises with Donna Eden. She has a daily energy routine, tracing your meridians, and also neurolymphatic release to release toxins out of your limbs. Self-care every day makes you feel self-confident and better.
I am so glad that you're sharing about that, because that is definitely something that we are being called right now by the universe to take care of ourselves. So in a moment, I'll actually show you the energetics that are going on, or at least a little bit of the energetics that are going on, but that's perfect. Yes. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing those resources.
If anyone wants a document with all the links and the meridians, how to trace them, I can send that to you. I have it ready to send to people right now.
Wow, that's wonderful, Erica. Would you be able to put your email address where people can connect with you in the chat? That's wonderful. Thank you. So this actually brings us to this creative brainstorming moment. So many years ago, I'm going to mute you again. Many years ago, my husband, who had a really, really, really good job, suddenly, out of the blue, got laid off. And all of a sudden, we had a family of 6, my husband, myself, my 2 daughters, his 2 sons. All of a sudden, we found ourselves with a very limited income. And I am going to see if I can mute you. Melanie, I'm not sure if it's you. I'm hearing some noise somewhere. If people are muted or unmuted, and if you can mute yourself, that would be wonderful. Thank you. So suddenly, our family of 6 found ourselves on a limited income. And you have to imagine we had 2 teenage boys, meaning that at least 1 loaf of bread a day per person. I'm not kidding. It was a lot of food that would normally go through our household. And all of a sudden, what do we do? And I had this creative intuition, this heart intuition. And what we started doing were $10 dinners. Basically, we decided that, okay, this is the amount that we can spend per day each month on food as this is happening, which brought us to the $10. What can we do for $10? Every single day, 1 person would be assigned to be the creator of that day's $10 day. And they were the ones who would have to come up with whatever dinner we would have. And we would then, at the end of dinner, vote on the consistency, the texture, how it was offered, how it was presented, how filling it was. And we would get points for that. And what happened was that, you know how teenage boys can be, and they can be really silent and they can be really quiet and just kind of in their own world. Well, this really pulled the whole family together. And I have to tell you, we ate some really interesting things, but we had some really, really good times, and it really brought our family together. So what are you doing to make the most of this time? As we are all going to have to be doing this social or physical distancing, right? Because we are still socially connecting. So the physical distancing, mostly spending time within our own environment. What are you doing? And I'd love for you to share your ideas. And I know, Erica, you already wrote down that you're doing your exercise. You're making face masks. That's fabulous. That's very, very fabulous. That's creative. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Fabulous. All right. Yeah. Maya.
What I'm doing is I don't normally buy into fear. And so I've really not had that issue. But I know that a lot of the people around me have. And so what I've started doing is I have the Zoom app, and I usually have 1 or 2 meditations a month that I do, but I'm doing it daily now for groups.
Oh, lovely.
And I'm inviting people that don't have any experience even, because, and we start with the breath. And so I'm doing that. And I'm also, I am going out of my way to express gratitude to people. Like in the stores, I went to the store this morning. I bought food for one of my friends who really shouldn't be going out, and as well as ourselves. But I'm grateful for every person who's there, who's working, and the people who are keeping the distance, you know. And it was just, it's a beautiful experience when you come from a different energy like that. And thanks to human design, I also know that I am naturally a healer, and that I am, you know, my big thrust in life is harmony and peace. So I build that energy of harmony and peace and well-being and all of that. And I carry that with me wherever I am and send it out to the world in my meditation times. And, you know, even though I can't, you know, I don't have any data or statistics or anything like that, it really brings my energy into a place of being empowered, where I can make a difference. I can help other people. And and this morning, one of my friends had a really nasty email from another friend of hers expressing fear because this woman, my friend, her daughter is a first responder at hospitals. And so the woman said in her email, well, what will you do if your daughter dies and you have to take care of your grandsons? Which I couldn't imagine anybody doing that. But anyway, so I spent time with my friend and we talked, and she does take care of her grandsons. So I brainstormed with her ideas about what to do with the boys and part of the human design that came up again was, you know, I'm writing during this time because, let's face it, it's a really good time to do some of my writing. And so I encouraged her to write her stories and not worry about punctuation or any of that. Just get the stories. And I said, and share those stories with your grandsons. And so they're going to have storytelling time. And the boys are also going to be encouraged to share their stories. So it's kind of, we've talked before about in an emergency, I become focused and see clearly. And it's like, I feel like I'm blossoming in this.
Yes, perfect. For you as the manifestor, bringing in this healing, catalyzing this healing all around you is beautiful. Thank you for all that. And Maya, if you would be willing to share where people would be able to access your meditations,
Yes.
That would be lovely.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Who else? What are you doing during this time? What are you thinking about doing? Yes, Micah, can you unmute yourself or?
So, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Well, I've moved all the way from the south of England to Scotland 2 months ago. So my fear were around whether I had made the right decision, because it's very different here, of course. Lovely environment, fresh air. I'm next to a beautiful sandy beach, but shops are not as close as I had them in down south, when I had everything on my doorstep and lots of organic farms. And being a projector, for me, to be honest, solitude is fine. I'm so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping to make new friends. There was supposed to be a workshop, a human design workshop in Edinburgh in the beginning of May. And I was hoping to meet some like-minded people. So I've got lovely neighbors, but what happened today, the only organic food shop in this area closed for lunch and to restock because they were a lot busier. And I was waiting outside with another lady, much younger than me, and she was very stressed and she wasn't very friendly. She just wanted to keep away and yeah, full of fear. And I started feeling, not fear, but energetically, I was feeling really disturbed, being a projector and a very open type mental projector. So I walked away and did a very simple energy management straight away.
Great.
Something I've learned from Danielle McKinnon, animal communicator.
Okay.
And if you look up, there are videos with her energy management techniques on YouTube. Very, very simple, like opening a magnet on your spiritual heart and bringing in all your scattered energy from above, below, both sides, front and back. First big blocks and then all the smaller ones, and then you're breathing at the same time, and then you really start breathing, really what you were saying, so important. And then you close that magnet, and it's so simple, but it really works.
Very good in how you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really know I have to look after my energy, and thank God I've got lovely neighbors. But I was really hoping to make some new, to meet some new people, more like-minded people. And this, having said that, well.
Mm-hmm.
Mariah, can I just share something too?
Yes, please.
I'm doing something on a much more simple level because I'm not as clever as all of you in doing all that stuff. But my daughter and my granddaughter and myself all have the same coloring book, and it's called 360 Days of 5 Days of Drawing. And what we do is the night before we choose a number, and it goes around in turn. First my granddaughter, my daughter and myself. And then around 6 o'clock, we go on WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp group and we show each other what we've been drawing. And I can't tell you how wonderful that is. It keeps me in touch with my family, which is not, I realize it's not the wider stuff, but actually, I mean, my granddaughter is only 11, and just to see her, what she's done with, I don't know, drawing shells, and what I've done drawing shells, and what my daughter has done shells, and sometimes we put sunglasses on the shells, or we fill a pot with flowers, and it's just, I don't know, very simple, but great fun.
Yes, beautiful. And what I love about what you're sharing, Sue, is in order to be creative, you have to be able to get out of the stress response, because the stress response will shut down the frontal, the prefrontal cortex, the neocortex, sorry. So as you are stressed, you're not going to be able to be creative. The moment that you're pulling yourself back into yourself, now you can access that creativity. And what a lovely way of doing that. Whoa, there's my nice scarf. What a lovely way of doing that. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? What are you doing to stay connected? What are you doing during this time?
I will, your story at the beginning made me laugh because my kids are 16 and 14, and this is the first time, and we're in shelter in place here in California, and this is the first time we've ever had lice. So we're spending quality time, intimate, so that's the thing that's been the last 2 days.
Fun. Try the mayonnaise.
I know. I was like, okay, go get mayonnaise. I don't have any now, but that will be one of my essential runs out. So thank you for the tip. but aside from that, I've been contemplating ways to share human design with people, because I feel like everybody's really going internal right now and trying to find, alignment and integrity in their lives. And for me, human design has been so transformative. So just trying to figure out ways to share that with people, and doing intuitive readings as well.
Beautiful. Yeah. I really feel, thank you for sharing that, by the way, and good luck with the lice situation. You've got my heart. And I guess it's a good thing that you're sheltering in place, because that does keep it contained for a while.
Plenty of time for laundry too.
There you go. Yeah. And I love what you're saying about what you're sharing with the people around you about the things that are really important. I have the same experience that people are, this is our time to go inward, and this is our time to really get connected with a deep part of ourselves that normally we don't necessarily get to share as much. And I find that amazing things are happening. I see so many beautiful offers coming through my email box. Offers, people in the neighborhood wanting to help each other, offers like you, where you're wanting to share what you are great at. Anything that can lift people's spirit at the moment, I think is really, and hopefully, the new way of being. That's what I'm going for. Thank you. Who else? Anybody else? What are you doing? Mm-hmm.
I'm Mariah Bernice again.
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote in the chat, I really feel too like this is a time to kind of rewire. So I've been watching and catching up on a lot of the Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and all those, everything on Gaia. I'm, joining like your session today and others. But I feel like, God, it's so good to get grounded again and kind of energetically reconnected. And a lot of my clients are canceling because, I do massage. So I'm offering more distance Reiki sessions and coaching calls. And I have to say, the lady that was describing her coloring, I love that, because I like to do artsy stuff. But when she said that, I kind of chuckled, because you've got a picture of the girl writing on the wall. I thought that was great. Also, I'm making like hand sanitizers out of essential oils, because people are asking, everybody's out. The stores are all out of that kind of stuff. So it's like, well, I've got a ton of essential oils, easy to make. So people are asking me for that. And just little bits of this and that, really. But I'm really enjoying less activity and more connection, just less hustle bustle. I really am enjoying this. So in a way, I think it's I love the space that I'm in with it. And so
yeah,
that's my.
Yeah, thank you, Bernice. And as we were just talking about too, as you are enjoying yourself in that space, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if that's me. Wanting to make sure that I'm not messing up the sound. As you're enjoying yourself, that's the energetic frequency that you're putting out with the rest of the world. So that's beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you for today. I'm so glad I was able to. Normally I would have been working, but yay, today I got to be here.
There you go.
Thank you.
Something else to be grateful for. Let's see. Who else has something to share? Anybody else? What are you doing? What's going on for you? I know that, my oldest daughter, our last child in the household, moved out a few weeks ago into their own place. So we're in the process of repainting. That means we have the paint, we haven't started yet. So that is my project over the next few weeks, to find time and do some of that. And for the rest, all in anticipation for the next person to come and join us and stay with us for a little while. And in the meantime, my goal is to keep connecting with people on one-on-one basis and in groups. And and I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I don't want to I don't want to make a push for any project or program at all, but I did want to mention that. So at the beginning of the year, I started this program. It was 2020 frequencies. So every month we focus on a different topic, and it depends on what the planets are offering. So for this month, the topic has been clearing. And I had no idea that this was going to happen. So anyway, it's kind of funny how the planets and the world kind of work together. Does anybody have any other comments before I start sharing a little bit about the energies that are happening this week in particular? Okay. So look at that. The sun is in the gate of innocence. I don't know if you've noticed it, but there was an energetic shift a few days ago. This past week, we were in the gate of crisis resolution. Well, you may have noticed that it was quite intense. And while stuff is still happening, for some reason, the last couple of days, it just feels a little bit more ease, in a sense of we tend to be more connecting. There's less of a run on the survival stuff. And you may have seen these videos. They brought tears to my eyes. The videos of Venice, where the canals are now so clear that dolphins are swimming in the canals. I love dolphins. On a lucky day when I walk along the beach here in Santa Cruz, I get to see them. And just seeing those videos of the dolphins reappearing and the swans reappearing and the water so crystal clear, the air pollution reducing in Italy and China, and probably here in the United States will happen as well because of all this. There's some really beautiful things that are happening. And so this sense of innocence, this gate of innocence that's activated over these next few more days, there's this sense of connection. It's this love for love's sake. How can we love? Who can we be with this? In our own innocence, connecting with the deepest part of us. And at the same time, the earth is in gate 46, which is serendipity. The gate of serendipity is about being in the right place at the right time with the right attitude. And what I've been hearing from several of you is, yes, self-care, self-care, self-care. It's all about that. How can you keep your attitude up? How can you take really good care of yourself? Do the breathing, do the meditations. Maria, thank you for sharing that. Erica, thank you for sharing your resources. I also want to mention, of course, Julianne and Pragit's Stargate meditations. Lovely, lovely. Any kind of work that you can do for yourself to really be connected in that place. Because at the same time, we are in a crunch where Mars, Jupiter, and sorry, can't read it. Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto are in this 61st gate, which is the gate of inner truth. We are in this possibility of receiving these instant truths that are capital truths, capital T, your truths that just drop in, and all of a sudden you have these realizations. These are the times for us to get these realizations, and who knows where humanity is going. who knows? That's where we can get to connect with within our hope. And I just wanted to let you know that this beautiful picture has been drawn by my stepson, Tim Eyes, who makes beautiful art and who is also making the art of this upcoming human design inspired card deck that I'm looking forward to share with all of you in some months to come. But in honor of the dolphins, I wanted to share this. Oh, I love it. I love it, Micah. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Well, and it just so happened I took a walk the other day, like 2 days ago. I saw dolphins and whales and a rainbow. How beautiful is that? On the day that we were shifting from crisis resolution into innocence. I was like, yeah, that's a good sign. I like that. All right, everybody. Thank you all for being here with me and for holding this space. I so love and appreciate all of you. I'm looking forward to connecting with you again sometime soon. And take really good care of yourself and everybody else. All right. Bye, everyone.